What is up, guys? It's your boy Nobu, back at it again with another deck profile. This time I got third place at Digifest Miami, and hoo boy, is it a fun deck. So I played this deck um, for a few events before. I played it for Gyroshan, and then I played it for 777's Winamet, and went undefeated in both of those tournaments, making this deck 11-0 at that time. So I felt really good about it, really strong about it, um, in terms of entering into Digifest. However, at that point, I didn't feel too strong about side decking, because a lot of the time my teammates would side for me and I would just get absolutely destroyed. So I was a little hesitant on that. But, despite everything, it's still the deck that I'm most comfortable with. I absolutely adore it. And yeah, it is yellow-based Cherubi. Um, so, with all that being said, um, my rounds for the event are right over there to the side. Um, in Swiss, I went 7-1, only losing to one Jesmont. He 2-0'd me because tie first check of security is pretty good. It's pretty not bad. Um, no, so a lot of the time with red matchups, you're essentially racing them to who can just who can kill who first. You're not really trying to like Cherubi, Pinata, like all that sort of thing. Um, you're just racing. So for a majority of these games, it's I had to outspeed my opponent, which is not something that Cherubi's really known for. Shout out to Two Cost Mimi for being the cheapest tamer in the world. uh, so in Swiss, I played against Red Hybrid round one. He was a really cool dude. Um, Man had ancient combo and everything. I was just able to like reuse Salamon in order to like recover out of the bad situation. Um, Round two, I lost. So well, that's when I lost to Jesmont. Um, from there, I was like, okay, to get top 16, I cannot drop another. So from then on, I played against another Jesmont. Um, he didn't have his pieces. Fortunately for me, his deck stumbled for one turn while he was calling two Huckmons and searching, and I used that momentum to just carry on and absolutely take that matchup. Round five was yellow, like yellow hybrid, but it had a red base. So for the meme, it's funnier to say that I went 7-1 against red. Um, yeah. So essentially, with that one, the people are like, oh yeah, it's just aggressive SecCon, and I'm like, well, the Sec kind of feeds into SecCon, so he had a really bad matchup, unfortunately for him. Um, with that being said, I did want to say that he was like, yeah, I'll go ahead and report for you at the end of the match. Um, Pulled out like his BCP app and then did not report for me. So I jumped from like table 20 that round to table 80 the next round. Luckily, I was able to get it fixed. They just couldn't do a repair, so I had to play at table 80, and then after that, I would be like set up to go back to table 20. But this is a friendly PSA. This is a friendly PSA and reminder to always, always, win or lose, submit. Especially if you win a match, it is so important to submit a game, even if you're on the feature match table. I know that that was something that happened for a large majority of like my friends. Like uh, they had received a feature match and then didn't report, so it got marked as like a double loss. So it's very important to keep that in mind, especially when they're trying to run like a smooth event. Always report so that one, we're not waiting on you, and two, you always know that essentially you always know that everything's in there. No harm, no foul. Um, in top 16, I played against three blues and one yellow hybrid. So the three blues were Tyler Sear, Clyde and Andres, if I remember correctly. Sorry, I'm recording this super early in the morning, so I could be wrong about that last one. Um, so Tyler, the game against Tyler, I just saw the pieces that I needed to see. He couldn't really find Soren Joe effectively. Tyler's still my boy. I love him to death. Really cool dude. Go check out Gaia Force Gaming. Um, then for the top 8 match against Yellow Hybrid, um, I had played. Yeah, it's just my best matchup. There's really no way to say that. I would just pinata for like 7 bodies, and he would like Schwarz remove 5 of them, but I'm still like gaining advantage off Digivolving in Cherubi, and then he would give me like 7 memory to where I could just do it again that turn. I did hit Holy Flame Insecurity, which was scary, but like I hit it at a point where it wasn't like the end of the game bad if I hit it. It didn't give him like infinite memory off of TK Kari. It was literally just like, oh hey, yeah, I'll just stop here. We're both at 3 security. It also helps a lot because like I can like I could have blinding raid to drop my security, that sort of thing. Um, Top 4, played against Clyde. That man definitely earned it. Um, Game 1, I had an okay hand. I think I opened like Bushy, Cutemon, Cherubi, um, Rihi, and Blinding, but I didn't open like Tamer level 4, so those were pieces that I would have had to search for. Um, and they were pieces that I would have had to search for without like a Boko in hand or a Tamer to like stun the opponent. Um, so I mulled it. I mulled that hand. And I got an even worse one. I think I opened 2 Cherubi, a Deathclaw, um, one Kari. Like it was horrible. Uh, the other Blinding Ray, so that I knew where both my Blinding Rays were. Um, yeah, it was just suboptimal. That's for sure. I was like, oh, okay. So that hand was rough. Um, Game 2, I felt pretty good about it. My hand was fire. Um, Tech just did what it was supposed to do. Game 3. Game 3? Hmm. Game 3, um, it was really difficult, Game 3. Um, the game, like, I was playing against an amazing opponent. Clyde's just cracked. And the pressure of the webcam, the camera, was getting to me a little bit, probably more than I would like to admit. So, just another PSA would probably be to like practice playing in front of other people, because like getting feature matches can really throw you off. Like that's some pressure. Just because like I don't know. It's really weird when you're like, huh, yeah, like 1,000 people might be watching me right now. Like especially heading into a match. So like heading into the match with Tyler, that was my first ever feature match. Um, I was like, all right, if I get 2-0'd, I'm never gonna hear the end of it from like my locals or etc. etc. So it was a little scary. I screwed up, is what I'm saying. I screwed up really bad. I don't know whether it's pressure or lack of sleep. I had these cards in hand, and there we go. I had these assortment of cards in hand. I had Tamers and whatnot. So what I should have done was Digivolve into Kaiser over Koichi, crash into the Korikaku, gain 1 memory, Deathclaw, kill off Cutemon, kill off his whatever, I think Sayako maybe? Yeah. And then just Digivolve over my Loe that had no sources and was stunned, into Rihi, locking him to 2 memory. I would have had 2 security at that point, um, because at that point I wouldn't have wasted the blinding, and everything would have been hunky-dory. So the reason why I didn't do that is because I'm an idiot. I turboed into, I wanted to turbo into Cherubi, so I just wanted to like run up the line really quick and then just Cherubi wipe his board. But that was dumb. That was real dumb of me. And I only realized that at the point where like I already digivolved into Kaiser, digivolved into Rihi, leaving me with like only a low A to functionally play with. So I tried to like blinding to recover or like I tried to blinding to like move out of the misplay, and then I, I messed it up so bad. He was like, "Thanks, man, you played great." Me sitting here dying at the fact that I threw. No, but he completely deserved that match. He played super effectively. Shout out to Clyde, he's the MVP. Um, yeah, honestly, deck did fantastic. And I'm sure that all of you want to get into it right now. So I will throw these back and we will definitely go into the deck list. Alright, so um, I am going to stop with top end because I feel like in Digimon, a ton of people get super invested in like rookie counts first, etc. When a lot of the times, the way that I deck build, the way that the team usually deck builds is building around like one singular win con. Um, so first and foremost, you have your 4 Cherubi. Um, he is the best card in the deck. So I was playing a match last night, and my opponent went, "Oh, well, most people like the standard is 3 Cherubi. Playing 4 is pretty wild." And I wanted to have the conversation of why is playing 4 of like the card that you're aiming to build towards wild. So I understand there are games where like would like the match against Clyde where I opened 2 of them. That could have been something else. That could have been another Tamer. That could have been um. But on the other hand, the amount of value that you get for digivolving into Cherubi is absurd. You get a body that floats. You get a Tamer back that's more often than not a memory Tamer with the correct setup. Um, you get to wipe their board. This card's absurd. I don't understand how you don't play 4 of it, especially in grind matchups like yellow, where you are just able to spit one out, like one after another, or like you can mat add one back. So then even if they do find a way to like clear your Cherubi and the 7 bodies you're calling back, you're just like, cool, do it again. Um, this card's crazy. I don't know what you're on about. On like just straight up. I love running 4. It's non-searchable off of the Bokos and everything, so you have to be hard drawing into it. And the deck does do a lot of filtering, but it's also like you also want to see it consistently. This isn't something that you just like happen to be like, oh yeah, well it's good if I see it, it's good if I don't. This is like your general win con a majority of the time. So in my mind, it's a mandatory fourth for sure. On to another win con. We're playing 4 Reheat. This is the only level 5 in the deck. So while that does seem wild, and while I was super scared testing that ratio, a lot of the time I found that Rebelli would either one, just get bottom decked off of literally everything in my deck, or two, I would always prioritize Digivolving into Rihi because in the blue matchup, Rebelli's like horribly bad. The only thing that Rebelli's really good to is like Red Hybrid and Jesmon. Hmm, I wonder what it's good. No, but Rihi's better into like literally everything else. He's a win con because a lot of the time when you're racing the opponent, you get to just put him out here and like put him out on board and just get like continuous checks. If he's deleted, he calls back a Tamer. Um, Most of the time that Tamer's Koichi, so that gets you gain 1 memory and a cycle. So that's the like cost that you're paying for him. If you played Boko earlier, you could have like done that for free. It's just absurd. This man's crazy. Looping him with Matt to where you like swing, he dies, Matt effect, add him back is just fantastic tempo. There are turns where you set up multiple analog boys, digivolve into him, swing him. He dies. You get to tap both analogs, hatch and egg. Um, because you gained that memory and like gain 2, gain 1 off Koichi, you can like go into him again and then Cherubi their board state. So that's like also absurd. And yeah, he can play floodgates from the trash. He plays back Karis and Mimis and whatnot. So you can like Digivolve over Koichi, swing, have it die, play back Kari, and then you're like set for that turn. If you really want to try to like choke the opponent. Fantastic card. Love him to death. Good Riki. Um, these are super standard. Um, these are super standard in my mind. So for Loe, for Kaiser, these are fantastic cards. They're just hybrids. If you ever hit some off of Boko, you're always picking up Kaiser every time. And there's really not like a discussion about it between the two. This is just a vanilla. This, because you're not playing purple eggs, the 3 cost never matters. It's always going to be 2 cost. And he has retaliation, which is huge. That came up in the top 3 game against the Hexablow. A majority of the time that does not come up, but when it does, it's pretty cute. Alright, so now we are on to the rookies. Um, a lot of the rookies are utility pieces, so talking about them individually, so like case in point Boko, he's a 4 of, he's the best card in the deck. He searches, he gains you tempo when digivolving, he does literally everything you want him to. He's a fantastic card. You can call back multiple off of Cherubi because Cherubi doesn't discriminate on color. Be be more like Cherubi. No, but he's fantastic. One of the best cards in the deck. The fact that like there are times where you pop your Cherubi and you can bring back bushies, but instead you bring back 3 Boko or 4 Boko, Digivolve over a Tamer, and then like go up 6 memory or go up 4 memory to play around like Hammer Sparks and Security. Oh my god, it's so clean. It's so clean. I love this man. He's super cute. Speaking of cute, we also have 3 Cumon. Cumon is fantastic because it's a hybrid meta, my guy. Like real talk. It's fantastic for multiple reasons. Firstly, in every hybrid deck, you are just able to floodgate them and make them pay a little bit more, slow them down just a little bit in order to start gaining and netting advantage. It's a 3 cost, whereas like outside of Boko, most of my other rookies are bigger, so it doesn't even feel bad to like slam down. And because it's a 3k body as compared to like Gaussmon being 2k, you're just able to chip a lot more effectively, or like swing over a Boko. Swing over Madoki, I believe, is the 2k. Could be wrong. That could be Sayako. Either way, it's a fantastic card. Played it way back in BT5 format. Still good now. Q1 representing baby. Alright, on to 2 more rookies. I was playing 2 of Sala for this event. Um, I was missing Sala in top 16. Would have been huge if I could have like recovered into Clyde. Um, yeah, no, if I could do it again, I would probably play like either 2 Sala, 1 recovery pata, or just play 3 Sala. Uh, on like straight up one of the best cards in the deck. Helped against literally all of the red matchups. Actually won me a game in my Swiss, like in Swiss bracket because my blue player was like slightly out tempoing me. He had blue tends to function where it like thrives on simplified game states. So he like a lot of the time people turbo into those super like aggressive simplified game states where they're like, okay, I'm going to kill you, but if I don't kill you, then I'm just out of resources. Um, so I would be able to like Digivolve Sala in the back, and that would really mess up his tempo of like, oh hey, I can't kill him the next turn because that Sala's gonna die. Side note, my theory going in was that I wanted to cut down on Sala because it doesn't die in security. Um, for this list, I had been bumping up Deathclaw, so yeah, it's pretty impactful to have recovery Digimon in the yellow base. Um, most of the time I was right. This card doesn't die, it just swings into Tamers. It's super annoying. I hit into a Takumi against one of the red matchups, and that put me down to like zero security. I was like, oh, that's horrifying. Um, Luckily we were able to like control board state from there, like Haru passed his turn, but still that was super scary. No, but I tried to cut down on things that had on deletion effects because a majority of the format's small, or tamers or options, making it so that Salo wasn't as worthwhile. However, you can always suicide it into into the opponent's Digimon. So like swing, crash it, um, you still get the draw off of Upa and you still get to recover. That is always a viable play if you don't have Deathclaw. If you're like, dang, I really need to swing this card and it has to die here, don't take the check into security, take the check into the Digimon and just like focus on staying alive. Because if you can push it like too mid to late game, most of the time you're in control. Whereas like you really don't function well into decks that either OTK you or can lethal by like turn 3. So if you can push out the game, then you're winning those games a majority of the time. Next up, we have 3 Bushy. I've heard a lot of why not 4. Uh, he's not a good card to have in hand. There are a lot of times where like you digivolve into him and then draw into a Sala, and you're like, wow, I really wish I could have just digivolved into Sala there. Uh, you want to play 3 of them just to like fuel up your trash super quickly. Realistically, the only way that this deck has to cycle is like with Koichi or Analog. So like if you're not hitting him off of those cards, then it's not optimal. So digivolving him in the back is super great. Uh, Still a 3K, still pretty big. Swings into security, which is a-okay. Love that chip damage. Unless you hit a Tai Kamiya first check into a Jesmon player and they just destroy you. um, so now I want to talk about one change I'm gonna make with the deck. I played Lucamon for the event. I am no longer doing it. This card sucks. You always have to discard it. Um, a majority of the time, the recovery was like negligible because the only time that I was playing it was like if I was popping Cherubi. Um, you could technically hard call it, but a majority of the time I didn't have like my trash up to 10 yet, so I wasn't like turboing into that like you would with purple base. If you're playing purple base, this is an alright card, like it's fine, you're playing Dead or Alive, whole different deck. In yellow base, do not play this. It was consistently sided out, literally every time. There are just infinitely better cards to play. Third Sala would have been crazy over Lucamon. This also plays into Sorajo. And like, well, yes, he is beefy. That doesn't really matter when he's just getting stunned every turn or like getting bounced back. Like it's pretty suboptimal. We're playing for Upa. We're playing for Upa because it is the best yellow egg. And it's not close because Upamon in this game is always correct. And yeah, no, I don't want to run a 5th egg. I don't really run the yellow rookies to justify not seeing an Upamon. Plus that draw is always super huge. Because, you know, I'm a value player. I am super biased towards consistency. Um, so my thought process is the more often I can see my cards, the more games that I should be winning, right? So I am super biased into Upa. I saw some people play like Koromon. I've seen other people play like a BBmon, and I'm like, not worth. I'm sorry, they're just not worth playing. Um, that brings us to our Tamers. Realistically, the Tamers are just cracked for purple. Like purple has some of the best Tamers out there. I think second only to blue. Maybe second to yellow because like TK and whatnot. So we're playing like 3 mat. Memory Tamer is super huge this format. However, you don't want to be playing 4 Memory Tamer because majority of the time you can't like get by with Memory Tamer alone. You need to see cards that cycle. You need to see Floodgate cards. Um, so I think 3 mat is perfect. I love it. There are times where I'm missing Matt, but like I can usually play out those games anyway, even though I'm missing him. So yeah, I feel pretty good about the three Matt. I feel pretty good about like Tamers in general. I feel super solid. These are the Tamer ratios that I played for Gyroshawn, and they're not likely to change in the future, I don't think. So next up we have two analog. Analog is fantastic at clearing, like just its consistency. It's a consistency tool that gains you memory and hatches an egg. It's a two-cost tamer as well, so like you're able to fill up the trash super easily. Against anything that is not blue, this card is absurd. Against blue, it kind of sucks. This is definitely another card that I side out in the blue matchup. Um, and the fact that it's a white tamer makes it so that you can't like play it off of Cherubi or Rihimon, and also like you can't digivolve over it. So a lot of people are playing three of them. I'm playing two and one purple Mimi. Firstly, because I wanted to play a fourth Floodgate Tamer, and secondly, because since I saw blue more consistently, seeing the purple Mimi is way more impactful than seeing like the analog youth, unless I need exactly searches, in which case, like, I have Boko for that. I have like cards to cycle, so I don't necessarily need like 3 to 4 analog. Um, Next, onto the tapping tamers. One Mimi. Every deck is playing options. Option cards are crazy. I don't really know what else to say outside of that. It's a 2 cost that helps you out tempo your opponent. Frankly, absurd card. In the yellow matchup, like the yellow-red matchup, he tried to do Atomic. And I was like, well, it's my turn. Or like people would just like hammer Spark, and I would be like, okay, net even. Of course, they would play 2 more and get the memory they wanted anyway. But you know, I had to make them pay for it. They worked for it. So yeah, definitely love one Mimi in the main. That's not coming out. 3 Kari, uh, fantastic card. Fantastic card into blue. Just because like blue thrives off being able to chip and then build up board state, whereas like if you have purple Kari out, you're making them choose. You either get to chip or you build up board state, and either way, you're super happy with what they choose. If they're not building their board state, a lot of the time you're winning the game. And if they are building board state, that's more time that you get to stay healthy and alive. So, um, yeah, frankly, these are the best cards in my deck, and it's not close. Next, we have Mr. Cycly Boy. He does everything. He makes the deck. He cycles when you want him to. He gains a memory, so makes the Deathclaw free. You always want to digivolve your Cherubi over this so that Deathclaw can be free without like needing to tap any of your tamers in case you want to hybrid the opponent out for game. Draws one, pitches one, fills up the trash with bushies, bokos, etc. I did think about trying him as a 3 of. It's a thought. It's like a crack thought. For like another Mimi. Um, on the other hand, I'm like, I'm okay. He cycles. He does what I need him to do. He fixes hands. There are hands where like I see 2 of them. Ooh, also, you're able to play him. You draw. So let's say that you draw like something. You have a Kari in your hand. You get to pitch it to play it back off the Cherubi, or you discard Mat to play it back off of Cherubi. That is a play that you can pretty consistently do. So then when you go into Cherubi, you're wiping their board, you're getting a Tamer back. That Tamer is a memory Tamer, and then Mat adds you back a piece. So you're going insanely plus off of one Koichi, draw one, pitching a Mat. You know what I mean? Um, yeah, no, he's a fantastic card. Definitely don't cut him down. For sure, for sure. Um, let's see, what else? Oh, options. Two Schwarz. Board wiping's pretty nice. Blue tends to build out a board. This sucked into all of my red matchups, but like, I wasn't playing expecting to see red as many times as I did, so it was pretty impactful. Pretty impactful in the Clyde matchup, like in game two, where he hit one and then he hit another insecurity. That was pretty good, pretty cracked, I have to admit. It's just a good card. It's a board clear, and we play a ton of Tamers, so fantastic. I was on 3 Deathclaw for this event. So, a lot of people are on like 2 Deathclaw, 1 Calling, or just 2 Deathclaw and like another option of a different variety, like maybe a third Schwarz. Uh, no, no. Deathclaw is just pretty. pretty convincingly the best card. It always removes a body from the opponent's board. Um, you're never put into weird scenarios where like you have to calling like add back the Digimon that you're killing, um, that sort of thing. And it clears the board so that like they don't get Sorenjo memory. So there are a lot of times like in terms of tempo where you get to like you call Boko, turn one, you get your search, that's fine. You already went plus off of it. Their turn, they call Boko, play a Tamer. Like let's say that they just play Boko, Digivolve in the back, play Boko, play Sorajo, whatever. You usually like get to play your Tamer. You can then Digivolve over your Tamer. From there, you can Deathclaw, remove our Bokos, and then you're the only one gaining tempo on that. And then from there, you can like rehe, you can do whatever you want to. Hmm. Fantastic at clearing floodgates. Fantastic at um, clearing your bodies. So like, kill Bushy, kill something else, and then Deathclaw, like pop Cherubi, that sort of thing. Um, Frankly, fantastic card. I love it to death. Really just my MVP of the day. Not gonna lie. From there we have the one reinforce and two blinding. Um, Blinding is just a fantastic card. Play it in set point, like play it in BT5. Played it now. Uh, Gains 2 memory and trashes the security. Really isn't a whole ton to say about it. I used to play 3, but I found that like a lot of the time it was just a free hit into security, and my opponent wasn't giving me any like advantage off of it, so that was fine. Um, and then the one reinforce. So this was either going to be reinforce or fourth Deathclaw. That's how much I like Deathclaw. I wanted to play a fourth. So like the thing about reinforce is that in security it gives you +3 memory, which helps out like out tempo the opponent. You get to play it and then check the top 2 cards, so it's a consistency tool. Not to mention like it can stack a Tamer or a kill spell. Get to like add you a Boko to your hand, or there are times where like you see a Bushy or and a Tamer and you want to put the Bushy in security just so that like it can feed into the trash pretty easily. Um, Fantastic card. It really overperformed throughout the day, just being able to get the recovery against like some of the red decks or like the blue matchup when they're trying to lethal you. And that is the deck, guys. That is the top 3 Cherubimon deck profile. Next time we go for first. But we have 2 more things to do. We have a side deck and then we have shoutouts. So let's kind of turbo through this side deck. I know I've been making you guys wait a little bit. So it's been 2 Wyvern's Breath. Card was horrible. Didn't side it in. 1 Schwarz. Um, it was okay. It was like mid. So. I put it in against Clyde. And I think that was the reason why I had to. It was alright. The reason why Wyverns was horrible was because it was meant to be like spot removal for tower decks. So like the X Antibody deck, the Jessamon deck. But it would just sit in hand literally every time. Uh, and by the time like Jessamon's swinging and calling bodies, you can't really play this without just getting lethaled by the bodies that Jessamon calls. And even when it was in security, he had a delicate plan for it, which was a little rough, but it's fine. It's fine. It was also meant to out floodgates against blue, but um, I never went into a game 3 with a blue player outside of Clyde, and I didn't see Clyde play floodgates at all. So yeah, well, didn't really seem worth it. Next up, we had the 2 Mimis. I would side this in over Analog um, for the blue matchup, and I would also side in Calling over like another Schwarz. No, I would just side it over Lucy. That was it. So it was 2 Analog, 1 Lucy sided in for these. Mimi was super good at choking, like choking them out, and then Calling was fantastic at clearing a body despite not actively liking the effect. Um, my friends justified it to me as in like, hey, you can use this in your like grind games as well, adding back pieces that you could need, like starting the rehe loop. Um, this card in main deck is really good for like new people starting out when you're like not managing your resources properly, or like need like extra recursion. A majority of the time, if you're managing resources properly, you should be okay. But um, yeah, I think that this card is more like new person friendly in the deck, which I am like perfectly a-okay with. If it helps you play the deck, then it helps you play the deck. That's what matters. Um, we are always happy to have more members at the Church of Cherubi. So definitely liked those. Like, okay, side cards I liked, side cards I didn't, side cards that were okay. Susanoo was in for the yellow matchup. I didn't want to deck out, and I cycled through my deck way faster than yellow did. Loved this card. Came up once against the yellow player. And yeah, fantastic, fantastic card. Loved it all around. Rebellimon. Played it for the red matchup, and thank God that I did. The true side deck MVP of the day. Of day one, anyway. Rebellimon putting retaliation blocker on Cherubi to where, like, if they kill it, um, you get to spam the board with, like, multiple bodies. You get the analog gain. Most of the time, you get the Koichi gain. Rebelli, you get to discard a Tamer that you can play off Cherubi without, like, Koichi setup. Fantastic card. Loved it. Loved it for sure. One of Gazi. So the mindset was against blue. The only thing that you're afraid of hitting in security is Hammer Spark when you're going for lethal, like Hammer Spark or Ice Wall. Um, so if you pop Cherubi, you can bring it back, and then they just auto lose the game. So that's pretty stupid for multiple reasons. Firstly, it's a one of. If we really thought that, then we should have played multiples of it. Thought number two, this would only be like post sideboard when they would be putting in like Supreme Cannons or Absolute Blast. Cards that answer things out of security. Uh, so yeah, bad theory on this one. That's a fat my bad. So realistically, three side deck cards I would change, um, depending on the circumstances, possibly four. But I did like Shores. Shores was fine. These cards were all fantastic. If you're playing in an event that has side decks, definitely recommend all of these. They make the matchups way easier. Um, I love these cards. Yeah. I'm trying to think what else, like what tips I can give you guys. Oh, I had a lot of the time where like against blue matchups specifically, I would have like hold on, I would have like Tamer 4, 5. Nope, that's so low. There we go. Rihi. I would have like Tamer 4, 5. Um, and then I could like Digivolve into Cherubi, but I couldn't play back a Tamer. So I would leave this here and then play another Tamer. And a majority of the time, because all when someone sees this, all blue players do is just strip the sources regardless. They don't really think about whether or not that's a good or a bad idea because they're like, oh, it's plussing me. How could it be a bad idea? So like I had a majority of the games where like they would strip the sources. I would Digivolve into Cherubi, get that source back, or like get that Tamer back, whereas I wouldn't have one otherwise. And that's super huge. So if you're playing against this deck, there are a majority of times where you're like, huh, maybe I don't strip that Rihi. Um, or like it made sense if they were like killing it that turn, like if they were crashing a Beowulf into it, because then I can't play for like replay the Tamer again. But even then, it was I don't know, didn't seem optimal. That's my mindset. Didn't seem optimal into my deck, so I wanted to let everybody know about it. Um, I think that is it for the deck profile. I think that's everything. I think that's everything that I wanted to say. Um, Super cute text, like cards that I liked for the day, cards that I didn't. Shoutouts to Digi-Academy, my team. The boys had an Airbnb. Two of the other boys topped, Pepsi and Fernando. They were blue players though. No, no, no. I'm just messing around. They're super cool. We'll try to put their deck profile on the channel in a bit. Shout out to everybody that helped me with this deck. So that would be like Hayes, Kyle Kemper, like all of you are kings, my guys. You really put in the most work. You helped me, like you can helped me to convince me to play this deck for then. Um, you helped me just a ton. Hayes specifically is an MVP of mine. Always has been. Uh, I may be the Pope of the church, but man, that man's my saint. For sure, for sure. I don't know why I'm addicted to saying that today. I think it's because I'm tired. Um, it was a fantastic event. Um, really run well by PPG. They got us fans. It was great. Great event, great people at the event. I'm so happy to meet every one of you, everyone that I did. Thanks, guys, for letting me sign your Cherubis. That was sick as well. I really wasn't expecting it. It caught me out of left field, and I was like, "Hey, yo, that's pretty cool." I was talking to Mario and Steven, and then someone walked up to me and was just like, "Hey, can you sign this for me?" And I was like, "Sure. Do either of you two have a Sharpie?" And I just thought that was the coolest thing in the world. Um, I don't know. I'm a huge idiot. I love this deck too much. I'm a goon about it. Yeah, I love it. I love purple cards. They're fantastic. I'm gonna get the heck out of here and let you guys enjoy your day. I love you all. Thank you for listening to my madman ramblings. Peace out. Take care, guys. Subscribe. Please subscribe. It's our first video. Please subscribe. I love you. Bye.